Alrighty, we are looking at lesson 8.4. We're just going to do a bunch of practice problems, right? We already started with the first two examples, but you need to see more examples to really be able to get it and to try, a couple different things out. So let's get to it. I already have example 3 copied down, x squared minus x minus 12. So that's right over here. Now, remember, when we're making these things, and the little diamond can be a way to help, but really you just got to ask yourself, it's like one question, I don't know. So what you're asking yourself is, what are two numbers, and they have to be the same numbers for both, two numbers that will multiply up to my final term in my expression. So two numbers that multiply to make negative 12, but then they also add to make the coefficient of my second term. And here there's no number in front of this x, so it's going to be a negative 1x. So two numbers that multiply to make negative 12, and they also add to make negative 1. And this is the strategy you get to use for factoring when it is a trinomial with three terms, an x squared, an x, and then just a constant. You get two numbers that multiply to make the final term, and the same two numbers also need to add to make the x term. Okay, so the way we've been doing this before is we've been listing out the factors of the one you have to multiply to, so negative 12. I'm just going to do it as an absolute value, so just 12. Don't worry about positive or negative yet. So numbers that multiply to make 12. Well, there's 1 and 12. There is 2 and 6. There's 3 and 4. And then as I would go to the next number here, 4, I already have it on my list, so I know that I'm done finding all of my factors, which is great. And so now you just got to ask, okay, these are all numbers that multiply to make 12, and I could make any one of these guys negative to make it negative 12, right? 1 and negative 12 will make negative 12. Negative 2 and positive 6 will make negative 12. So the negative sign can go on any one of these on the left side or the right side. But you need to make sure that it works to also add up to negative 1. If I do negative 1 times positive 12, that'll get me negative 12. But negative 1 plus 12 gets me 11. That doesn't work. 1 and negative 12 gets me negative 11, so it can't be these guys. 2 and 6, if I add them together, both positive, they're going to make 8. If I have a negative 2 and a positive 6, that's going to be a positive 4. And if I have a positive 2 and a negative 6, that's going to be a negative 4. It never adds up to make a negative 1. But if I try these guys, 3 and 4, they make 7. And if I have a negative 3 and a positive 4, that's a positive 1. If I have a positive 3 and a negative 4, that's going to make negative 1. Positive 3 minus 4 makes negative 1. So you just kind of have to do these problems. You just have to list out your factors and then work out which ones add up to make that number up there, which is our second term. And so once we have these are going to be the numbers in my factored form. So I'm going to have this as x plus 3 and x minus 4. And that should be our factored form. And just to check, I'm going to grab a colored pen over here. I just want to check to show, just to make sure we got it right, but also to show why this thing even works. So let's make sure this pen's working. Okay, so we're going to check it by saying, all right, well, I'll just do my double distribute, right? The x would distribute over here and over here. And then the positive, this is a positive 3, even though I kind of drew it fast, is going to distribute over here and over here. X times x is going to make x squared. X times negative 4 is going to be minus 4x. 3 times x is going to be plus 3x. 3 times negative 4 is going to be negative 12. And again, we talked about this in the video yesterday, but we'll just show it one more time here. Whenever I do this double distribute, this is where the two numbers that multiply to the third term and two numbers that add to the second term, this is where it comes from. Because when I'm doing the double distribute, the number times the number is always going to get me the constant term, the negative 12. And then the middle term, the x term, the second term, is always going to be x times a number, the negative 4x, and then the number times the other x, plus 3x. These are the like terms, so these last two numbers end up adding up together, which is why that rule, that little trick works for factoring. That's about it for that. Let's get a chance to just go over a couple more examples, just because the more you see it, the better you're going to get at it. So let's go into this example. X squared plus 2x minus 15. Let's do it. So x squared plus 2x minus 15. And now if you want, you can really like start abandoning that diamond from before, because really you're just asking, all right, what are two numbers that will multiply to negative 15 and add to 2, right? That's all you're asking yourself. But, you know, if you want to put the diamond just to get more practice doing it, it's whatever. So I'll make my little diamond method over here. And we're going to say, all right, two numbers that multiply to negative 15, but then they also need to add to a positive 2. They must add to a positive 2. Let's get that mouse out of there. So 15, negative 15, I know its factors are going to be 1 and 15. 2 doesn't go nicely into 15. 3 does, 3 and 5. 4 goes to 12, and then 16 doesn't go nicely. And then once we hit 5, we already have it in our list of factors, so we know that we found all the factors already. 1 and 15, yeah, they'll multiply up to 15. And if I do negative 1 and positive 15, yeah, it'll make negative 15. But 1 and 15, there's no way those two are ever going to add up together to make a 2. So it's got to be the 3 and the 5. Now, I want it to be a positive 2, so I know it's going to be x with a 3 and x with a 5. I know it's going to be a 3 and a 5 as my answers here. But then you just got to ask yourself, okay, is it going to be a minus 3 and a plus 5, or a minus 5 and a plus 3? And if it has to be a positive 2, it's going to have to be minus 3 and plus 5, because negative 3 plus 5 is going to make a positive 2. If it was a negative 2, these signs would have been flipped. So this is our factored form of that second example. Let's just keep rolling on these guys. I want to get through at least maybe these next 4 examples, and then we'll call it a video. I think I have space to do number 1 on the bottom of this page. 8x plus 16. All right, let's go. So x squared plus 8x plus, was it a plus or a minus 16? Plus 16. Plus 16. All right, let's keep going. X squared plus 8x plus 16. So I need two numbers that multiply to 16, and then those same numbers need to add to positive 8. So two numbers that multiply to 16, and then they add to positive 8. I drew this diamond too small, but it's really like, let's just do it without the diamond. Two numbers that multiply to 16 and add to 8. So if I do factors of 16, I've got 1 and 16. It's not going to be that. It's very rarely the first one, because 1 and 16, I can never add them to make an 8. I can do a 2 and an 8. 2 and an 8 sounds okay, but 2 plus 8 makes 10. If I do one of them as negative, it's going to be like some sort of 6, a positive or negative 6. Doesn't work. 3 goes to 15, and then 18 doesn't make 16. 4 works, and it is 4 times 4 that makes 16. And now that we see that, a positive 4 and a positive 4, they're going to make a 8, right? 4 plus 4 makes 8. So I know that my factored form here is going to be x plus 4 and x plus 4. That's it. That's how we got it, right? Let's keep going. A couple more examples here. Let's get on into a new piece of paper. X squared minus 11x plus 24. X squared minus 11x plus 24. Ooh, okay. 24's got a couple more factors to deal with. So I know that I'm going to have to find two numbers that multiply. I want to multiply to 24 and add to, don't forget that it is a negative 11 over here, right? That's really important. You miss the negative, you're totally going to get it wrong. Let's start getting the factors of 24. So I know that 1 and 24 obviously works for multiplying. It's never going to get me 2 and 11. A 2 and 12 gets us close, right? 2 times 12 does make 24. But 2 plus 12 makes 14. A negative 2 and a 12 makes a 10. I'm not quite there, right? Positive 2 and negative 12 gets negative 10, but I want a negative 11. It's not working. 3 does go with 24. It's 3 and 8. Because 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. 4 works. Also, 4 is going to go with 6. 5 does not work. And then we'll get to 6. We already have that number. We're done with our factors. Okay. So we already determined it's not these guys. It's not these guys. 3 and 8. Well, 3 plus 8 is 11. But I need 3 plus 8. Positive 3 times positive 8 is going to make me positive 24. But 3 plus 8 makes positive 11. But if I do a double negative, negative 3 times negative, not other 3, negative 3 times negative 8 makes a positive 24. And negative 3 plus negative 8, right? So negative 3 times negative 8 does make a positive 24. And negative 3 plus negative 8 makes a negative 11. So we found our factors. That's it right there. So really, what you're practicing when you're doing this is once you know, oh, it's two numbers that multiply to the last guy, and they also have to add to the middle guy, really the hard part for me almost is like just listing all the factors out sometimes, right? Sometimes that can be kind of a bummer. And then once you listed them out, you just go and add a couple times. It's not that crazy once you start to really get through it. Let's keep going. C squared plus 2c minus 24. C squared plus 2c minus 24. Okay, I want, oh, look at that. We already have a 24. We have a 24 from up there, and we just need to have the numbers make a 2. So 1 and 24, never going to add to make a 2. 2 and 12, it'll make a 10 or a 14. That's it, right? Add them together, it's 14. Subtract them, it's going to be a positive or negative 10. 3 and 8 is going to make 11 like we saw before. Or if I have a negative 3 and an 8, that'll make a 5. Doesn't work. So it has to be this 4 and 6, right? It's got to be... So here's the thing. With this being negative, one of my two numbers has to be negative, right? So I know that because of the way multiplication works, right? We're multiplying to get this final term and adding to get this middle term. Because I have to multiply to be a negative, I know it's going to be x plus one thing and x minus the other. And if I try, all right, so I know that these guys don't work. If I try 4 and 6, they can make 10, or if I subtract them, 6 minus 4 makes 2. So do I want it to be a negative 6 and a positive 4, or a negative 4 and a positive 6? If I do negative 6 and positive 4, yeah, they multiply to negative 24, but negative 6 would make it a negative 2. So I need to have a plus 6 and a minus 4. And let's do like a little check just because we're getting close to the end. Let's do one more check because it's been a little while. So I'll do my double distribution, right? You just seed parentheses. You take everybody from the first pair or the first set of parentheses and you just distribute it to everybody in the second set. And a positive 6 over here. Let's see it. X times x makes x squared. X times negative 4 is going to be negative 4x. 6 times x is going to be plus 6x. 6 times negative 4 is going to be negative 24. And again, just repeating one more time, this is where that rule comes from, that I multiply to the last guy and add to the middle guy, because the last ones are always going to get me my last guy, and they're always just multiplying. And then the x's, the like terms, they always end up adding at the end, and it always is going to be the negative 4 and the positive 6. It'll always be those last guys adding. That's where that rule comes from that we've been following. Negative 4 plus 6 is going to get me a 2x. The negative 24 comes down. The x squared comes down. And it was a positive. So yeah. Oh, shoot. So yeah, it worked, right? Let's do one last one. x squared minus 2x minus 8. Let's get to it. X squared minus 2x minus 8. X squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay, so I want two numbers that multiply to make a negative 8, which that means I know I'm going to have a positive and a negative. And then those same two numbers need to add to make a negative 2. Well, I know that 1 and 8 multiply to make, right? 8 will list out the factors. We've got 1 and 8. And then we have 2 and 4. 3 doesn't work, and then 4, we're done, right? 1 and 8 will never add up to a 2. A 2 and a 4, though, can make a 2, right? 4 minus 2 makes 2. But if I did positive 4 and negative 2, that would give me a positive 2 from a middle term. So it's got to be positive 2 and negative 4, right? Because positive 2 minus 4 is going to get me that negative 2x. So that is our answer there. That's a little bit of practicing factoring trinomials. There's the video.